Hey guys, this is a Trash telemarketer, and I wanted to do a video. It's Sunday night. Keep adding to the files. Tonight's video is what is telemark skiing. This sounds like a really easy question to answer, but it's really not because telemark skiing is constantly changing. And there's the telemark turn, and then there's telemark skiing as we know it today, as it's practiced today. So before we go into telemark skiing, let's talk about what the telemark turn is. The telemark turn is going to be if your downhill ski is forward, your foot is forward, and your uphill ski is back, and your knee is bent, and your heel is lifted. However, even in alpining, you can actually do a telemark turn because in alpining, usually your downhill ski is actually the ski that's behind your uphill ski. So the leading foot is opposite. When I was learning how to telemark ski, this was super difficult because I had to retrain myself to lead with the opposite foot. Um, but alpiners can actually do a very subtle telemark turn, and it's actually considered an advanced form of alpine skiing. So there's the telemark turn, which is what I just said, and then there's telemark skiing. Now, what is telemark skiing? This super confusing. To me, if you look at telemark skiing, it's kind of a cross between alpine skiing and Nordic skiing. And so Nordic skiing is going to be skiing where you have a free heel, and it's basically cross country skiing. So you're shuffling your feet, lifting your heel, and creating motion by doing that. However, um, what makes telemark skiing different from Nordic skiing today is that you don't have scales on your skis, so you have regular wax skis like you would on an alpine ski, and you do have metal edges. So your typical Nordic ski, if you go to the Nordic Center, is going to be super skinny. It's going to have scales, and it's not going to have metal edges. But that doesn't mean that there's actually Nordic skis that also have metal edges, and some of them have metal edges and scales. So the lines are blurry. What I would define telemark skiing is skiing where your heel is free, the ski is attached at the toe, and the boot pivots at the bellows, which is going to be right around the ball of your foot, but that you have some sort of spring tension, which makes it so that as you lift your heel up, you get progressively more and more spring resistance as that heel comes up. And so, why is that important? Well, because if you look at metal edged Nordic skis, they don't have springs. And why are the springs are important? Well, the springs are important because the more spring resistance you have, the more control you have over your ski when your heel is lifted. So, really what makes telemark skis is the spring resistance. Now, that used to be done with the cable, but nowadays it's not done with a cable. It's done with other systems that just make it so that as your heel comes up, you get more and more spring resistance. Um, that for me is going to be what telemark skiing is. Um, so then you ask, well, why do we do this? And that's going to vary by so many people are going to have different answers on why they telemark ski. I mean, you could make telemark skiing about the backcountry, but it's really not. I mean, I would bet the majority of people that are telemarking these days are not actually backcountry skiers. So telemark isn't necessarily about the backcountry. It's probably more about the telemark turn as you go downhill. And so there's a lot of people that they just enjoy making the telemark turn downhill, and they use telemark skis to do this. So semantics are important. The semantics of dating has gotten me into a hell of a lot of trouble these days as to what is dating. But that's for another video. But for this video, defining what telemark skiing is might help people because, in its essence, telemark skiing is skiing with a free heel with spring resistance that makes it so that as your heel rises, you get more and more spring resistance. And the skis are going to have metal edges and waxed bottoms and are not going to be cross country skis that have scales. They're going to be basically downhill skis. And then when you want to go up, you can put skins on them. Now, the thing is that the spring tension actually makes it more difficult to tour in with skins. So most modern telemark skis are going to have a system that disables the spring resistance for touring. So if you're watching this video and you're on like G3 wires and you think you're cool because you've got, 20-year-old skis, consider that if you are actually using these skis for backcountry travel, that the same springs that help you have control and make the telemark turn on the downhill are really, really inhibiting your ability to tour. So I would advise you to look into upgrading your system. But yeah, that's what telemark skiing is for me. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. So have a great night.